Well, hello, and welcome to Pelletier Craft Studios. I'm Elaine, and I am looking forward to showing you a great project today. We're going to be working on a card, and this card is using a stencil from TCW, or you may know it as the Crafters Network. Oh, excuse me, Crafters Workshop. We have a great time using their butters and their stencils. And so recently I did a class with the butters, and everybody loved it. So I thought, well, I'll give you everyone an opportunity to see just how much fun all of this can be. So I see somebody peeping in on me. I do want to make sure that you drop a comment while you're peeping in on me just to let me know who you are and how we're doing. Also, I want to remind you, be sure to click on the button that says you will subscribe because that way you'll know every time I'm on YouTube because Facebook doesn't always play fair. What can I say? Let's get busy doing some crafting. So let's first see what I have on my craft table. So as you can see, I went on ahead and made this card, and I made it exactly like the example that is on the TCW layered stencils. Now this one is called Layers Santa Moon. If you're interested in getting this, just drop me a comment. I'll put yours on the inside of your cart, and then I'll get in touch with you and we will get this stencil to you. Now I'm also going to be using the TCW butters. Now let's play with some stuff and find out if we can make something different with this same stencil instead of doing it exactly the way they did it on the instructions. So the first thing we're going to need is a piece of paper, and I do have my paper cut. It is 5¼ by 4 because I do want this to be the first layer. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my stencil. Now, because I've done this before, I already know that I need to change the order of these stencils just a little bit. So this is stencil number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they are wrote on there. And I do recommend following the numbers because if you don't, you're going to find out real quick that your moon just doesn't look right if you put it on in the wrong order. All right, now, a lot of people say, okay, you got to do a sticky mat, you got to hold it down, all those other things. But I find that normally it stays in place the way I want it to. Now, I'm going to start off using the tangerine stencil butter. And I know this sounds crazy, but I can use the same brush for all of them. And I just happen to have some on the inside of my lid. So let's don't waste it. Let's go ahead and use it. And as you can see, I'm doing my moon. And look, I got a few stars here too. So let's go ahead and do the stars. The moon and the stars. This looks like it's going to be a Santa night. So I'm a Santa fanatic. I have collected Santas just about my whole life. At one time, I had so many Santas that my mother threatened to throw them away. I said, Mom, but they're Santas. And now I have so many, I can't even put them all out every year. But that's okay. I always manage to get a good number of them out. And my tree is always done with Santas too. All right, so there you go. I've got that done. And now I want to go back and I want to do the clouds. And I think I'm going to do the clouds in blue. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, she's going to use that same brush again. And I am going to use it again, but this time I'm going to just take a second and clean it. And what am I cleaning it with? Water. I'm just spraying my water down, wiping off the tip of my brush. And now I am ready to work with my new color. So I just stick it on the inside of my container here. And then I go back and I rub it off on the inside of my lid. Here we go. We're going to put this down, and this is going to be my clouds. I'm going to let my clouds be this pretty blue. Oh, this blue is called Summer Sky. For those of you who want to use the same colors that I'm using, this is called Summer Sky. And it's a really pretty blue. It's also a great blue to use with water. Now, if you took my class, you saw that I used something called Light and Fluffy. And I really like to use light and fluffy with my clouds. The issue with this one is that I'm going to put Santa up here in these clouds. And so if I've got him light and fluffy, he's probably not going to be riding on his sleigh very comfortable. So we're going to have to make sure that when we put Santa down, he has a flat cloud to play in. So I'm going to put my lid on here. The thing that I have learned is in the length of time it takes me to clean my stencil and my brush, my project will be dry. And I can go right on ahead and start working on doing the next setup. You can put these in water and clean them, but I'm going to tell you, I find it's just as easy to use a rag and just clean them off. And now I'm going to go to number 2. But because I sprayed it, I want to make sure I get all the water off my glass tabletop. And I also want to make sure I get all of the water off the back of my stencil. I don't want it rubbing, okay? So remember I said that by now my stencil will be dry. And that's true, it will be dry. So let's back you guys out just a little bit. There you go. All right, so now we're going to do number 2. Now, when I line up number 2, I want to make sure around the edges of this stencil, there is a card. So when I get ready to line it up, I just line it up around the card. Now, this is going to be the part that is this blue over here. And I think I want to just keep it nice and dark. So I'm going to go with my navy, because these are going to be the depth. These are going to be the clouds that are in the back. All right. So here we go. Double check my stencil, making sure it's in the right place. And there. And there. And there. And that's all I have to do for number 2. All right. So let's pull this up. And we're going to put my card over here to the side. And I'm going to let it dry while I clean up. Remember, in the length of time that it takes me to clean my stencil and my brush, my project will be dry enough to go to the next section. I love it. Woohoo! Boy, I got a lot on that one. Let's see if I can get it all off. Whee! I did. I got a lot of blue on that one. But that's okay. It all cleans up, and it cleans up nicely. The only thing I like to remind you is that when you're using stencils and you want to use them over and over and over again, be sure that if they've got little points that stand up like this one does and that kind of thing, you want to make sure that when you're cleaning it so that you're pushing them down and you're not catching them and pulling them back up. All right, so let's get this blue closed up. And then we're going to go to number 3. So number 3 is right here. Now, this is where I'm going to be putting my Santa in, okay? So I got to decide, what color do I want my Santa to be? I want him to stand out, but obviously I don't want him the same color as the trees, right? So maybe I'll do Santa in red. Oh, but let's use a big bright red. Let's see what I have. I have something called barn door. And I do have this one, which is called crimson. But barn door is a much, much darker red. And that's what I want to use. I want to use this darker red. So I'm making sure I got my brush clean. And you can see I've already got my stencil placed down. Now, if you'll also notice, my Santa is going to go over my moon, and he's going to go over my clouds. So I want to be sure that I use a dark enough color that it will cover up those colors that's behind it. All right, so that's why I've decided I want to use this barn door stencil butter. I'm going right over top of it. And I'm going to go ahead and make the reindeer the same color. Yeah, I could jump off and make my reindeer brown, but why? I just as soon just drop it on in here. All of it has the same color. Now notice I am holding my stencil down kind of tight. That's because Santa has a few little sharp and close places on the inside of it. So that is my Santa and the reindeer. I'm cleaning off my brushes, putting up my paste. And now I'm going to go to my next color of trees. And I think this time I'm going to use the lime green for my trees. So I'll tap my brush, tap it on the inside of my lead, and then I'll come back in here and put it down. I think this is a little bright, and I'm thinking I might need to make it just a little bit darker. So let me show you how you can make a color a little bit different. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab this, it's called Fern, and I'm going to go back over top of what I just did. And that will make my trees a little bit darker. I think these trees need to be darker because I know that there's a third layer to it. And that third layer of trees will be my lightest ones because they will be the closest to where I am, right? It's going to be the closest to us. What I'm doing right now are trees that are off in the distance. Okay, so let's pull it up, see where we are. Ooh, look at that. This is going to be turning out pretty. Let me push this over to the side, and I'm going to get this cleaned up, but I do need to close up my paste. I love using these butters. They are just so easy to use. All right, so I'm cleaning up my stencil. All right, that's my brush. I'm cleaning up my stencil. Now remember, Santa has some small pieces around him. So I want to be sure that when I clean up my Santa, I don't pull those pieces up. Because if I do, it might make my Santa come out looking like a blob. There we go. All right, let's pick it up and do the back side of it. Clean off my table. Clean off the back of my stencil. Because remember, I don't want this to get on my card, right? So I'm getting everything all wiped down. And Santa and his reindeers. There we go. All right, so now I need to do number 4. And number 4 is trees. And all of those trees are the trees that are going to be the closest to me. So let's come back in here and let's put these trees down. Now notice when I get to number 4, I'm just basically lining it up with the trees that are already there. So, I'm hitting my stuff here. There we go. I need to push this down a little bit. Hung. All right, let's get in here, trees. There we go. All right, so we'll put that down. And I think this time I am going to use the lighter green because these are the trees that are closest to me. So let's make sure I got all that dark green out. Touch it up there. Put it on the inside of my lid to mix it up. Because remember, I don't want this to be so thick. I like to use my butter with my brushes. And that way I know they're going to be dry. Butter will last you for the longest time. Mostly because when you're using it, you'll notice I'm not using a lot. Just to give you an example, some of the colors that you've seen me use are colors that I used in a class. And I did a class of 10 people. So 10 people were using the butters that I'm using today. So as you can imagine, you don't use a whole lot of butter. But you do want to keep that lid on nice and tight so that you don't lose your butter. All right, let's bring it on down here. I'm bringing all of my butter down. You can roll it around in circles or you can bring it straight down, whichever one you like the best. I like a combination. Okay. Woohoo! Wow. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? All right, so we need to finish up our card. Now, I stuck somewhere on my Santa. He wasn't quite dry. I may have had Santa put on a little thick. So let's go back and make it right. And the good thing about it is I can go back and make it right. So many paste are not very forgiving, but these are. They're just really nice, forgiving, easy to work with. So let's see if I can figure out where it's stuck. Stuck right there in front of Santa's face. How about that? I stuck on Santa's face. All right. So let's come back in here and see if we need to re-stencil it. Get my stuff out of the way so I can lay my stencil down. I got just a little spot. So let me fix my spot. Put just a tiny bit on there and roll it around. There we go. I think I got him. And the reindeers did fine. Woohoo! Alrighty. So Santa to come out just a little bit thick. Might have to work with him a little bit more. But that's okay. That's okay. It's a handmade card and we can work with it. I'm just taking my rubber tip and rubbing it off. Sometimes I can scratch it off with my fingernail. This one might be a little too dry for that. There we go. Now I got it. Ha! There we go. All fixed. So now I'm going to put this down on a card, but I want to trim up my edges. I want to make sure that my Santa is nice and smooth around the edges. So I'm going to come in here and grab my trimmer and just pull it off easily. There's that one. I don't think I need to cut the top, but I do want to straighten out the bottom. There we go. And you do know that if you're using your trimmer, if you use your blade in both directions, those blades will last longer. So notice how I cut straight down and then straight up. All right, so let's see what we got here. I do have a couple of red bases that I can work with. So let's see how this one does. Not really what I want, but I'm gonna cheat. I did do another card. I gotta trim it up. But I did do another card just to see how it would look. It would look really good on this base. That one, the red's too dark, so I'm going to need a darker card base for it. We'll get it. Who knows? We'll actually have a couple of cards by the time we finish. There we go. So we got in a new cutter, and that new cutter is by Caterpillar. Everybody fell in love with it during our World Card Day. So I'll be bringing that out here shortly. Probably, I don't know, maybe next week. And give you a chance to see that Caterpillar. It's awesome. All right. There you go. Ooh, yes. I like that. Okay. So let's get us some adhesive on it. We'll put this one down. And then I'll grab a darker card base and I'll put the other one down as well. And you do know that when you're using your glue press, you don't need a whole ton of adhesive on it. It will stay down for you. Let's roll it over just a bit. The other thing that I like about adhesives using a liquid adhesive. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, we've got to have a dark cotton base to make this one work. Let's see what I got. Not quite dark enough, but definitely better than the first one. We'll put this down. I just love the way that I don't have to waste all my adhesive to put my cards down. I just have to use a little bit on it. Smear it down the middle. And whoop, yep, we got it on right. Y'all know me, I have been known to put them on upside down and backwards and all that other good stuff. There you go. So here you go, ladies. We have made a couple of cards here. All of these cards are made with the same stencil. Isn't that awesome? So remember, if you want to get this stencil or any of the butters that I have, all you have to do is go to Pelletier Craft Studio shop, PelletierCraftStudio.com/shop, and you can get the butters that I use to make these cards with, as well as the stencil and all of the other supplies that I had available. So remember, Pelletier Craft Studios, we want to be your craft house. And between now and then, I want you to love what you craft and craft what you love. Bye!